And what's up, everybody? This is the Tuesday night edition of the Rcwr Show. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Thank those of you that's checking us out right now, live on Blog Talk Radio and over at our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com and live up on Stitcher. Feel free to interact with us during the course of tonight's show by joining our chat room that's live on Blog Talk Radio right now. Just find us at blogtalkradio.com/the Rcwr Show. We're also up on Twitter. You can interact with us that way during tonight's show as well. Hit us up on Twitter at InfinityOneProd. We're also up on Facebook at InfinityOneProductions. While you're there, feel free to like our page. It's been getting quite a little bit of buzz. Of course, we got the phone lines that are going to be opening up in the later part of our show. But if you want to get a head start, make sure that you're waiting in queue so that your call can be taken promptly. Feel free to kick back, smile, and dial. You can hit us up at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. So good, I'm going to give it to you one more time. 646-478-3525. What's up, everybody? Hope y'all have had a fantastic weekend. Hope y'all were able to go to the movies. I know, finally, The Dark Knight Rises was dethroned by, of all people, it was dethroned by The Bourne Legacy. It looks like new life has been breathed into that movie franchise as it came in at number one in the box office, bringing in a ton of money. I'm not going to even try to break down the maths. I know it's at number one right now. That's followed by The Campaign starring Will Ferrell. Dark Knight Rises slid right on into third place. But, hey, we knew it wasn't going to last forever. But, hey, still a great time to go see some pretty good stuff in the theaters right before summer ends. So if you haven't made it your business, go check out some really cool movies that's been playing. Highly recommend that you go check it out. You're definitely not going to be disappointed with that new Bourne Legacy for those of you that are Matt Damon fans that might be a little bit on the fence about checking that movie out since he's not really having anything to do with it. You won't be disappointed. Trust me on that. So check it out when you get a free moment. Well, we were on a little break there for about 48 hours. Pretty damn good. Definitely want to wish you all well. Hope you all had a pretty relaxful weekend if you were not able to go to the movie theaters. You know, before we go into tonight's show, we definitely got a lot of shout-outs that we want to just throw out there. We just just can't do tonight's show without acknowledging a ton of folks. And first off, we want to just thank you, the listeners, for making last week's episodes of Impact Showdown Radio and the Rcwr Show our most listened and downloaded shows. We also want to thank you for checking out this past weekend's Rcwr Show, Call That Match Special, covering match predictions for the TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view and the Rcwr Post Show covering the fallout from the TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. A lot of great fan reactions on that episode. Definitely very active. Really loved doing that over the weekend. It was really cool. Y'all quickly made that be our most listened and downloaded shows we've put out this weekend. And for that, we just got to give you guys a huge, huge thank you, humble thank you. We also got to give shouts to those of you that checked it out on Stitcher, YouTube, especially our YouTube audience, as we have picked up some new subscribers. New subscribers, welcome. And we also want to take this time to thank those of you that, of course, as always, check it out on the downloads via iTunes, Zune marketplaces. Of course, we also have to acknowledge the staff of Blog Talk Radio for taking the opportunity of highlighting our weekend Sunday night edition of the Rcwr Post Show. And that's not the only thing that we wanted to share with you all, as, get this, we don't even have 6 months under our belt, and we just have to thank you guys one more time because of you, we have got a total now of over 10,000. That's right, 10,000 listens, downloads since we've been on the air. For us, that's a pretty big deal because it says to us that we're definitely on the right path and you appreciate what we do each and every single week. So on behalf of Zed, who's always working behind the scenes on Twitter, Facebook, pushing that interactive envelope, on behalf of co-producer Tammy, who tries to do her best to make sure I'm ready to put on a good show for you guys every single week. On behalf of me, all of us over here, definitely want to take this time out to thank all of you. We appreciate the support. And as a way of saying thank you, we're definitely going to be making another rare Monday night appearance immediately after Raw very, very soon. We'll give you more details on that, and we'll also give you guys enough time to mark it on your calendars so that you'll be able to make that jump as we're trying to get a few things finalized so we can have a few special guests join us when we do get ready to make that rare Monday night appearance. So pay attention to our Facebook and our Twitter pages to know more details as it becomes available. So let's talk about what all had happened on this past Monday night's WWE Raw. And, of course, something that a lot of people have been talking about. I know I was talking about it for months now, at least 3 months ahead of time, because I saw the picture. I saw the way that it needed to be executed. And after all this hype, after the ideas were being put out there by guys such as myself, probably every other single wrestling radio show that's out there, this past Monday night's Raw, it was now the moment. Was it going to live up to what we envisioned as Brock Lesnar and Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. Hall of Famer, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, would finally collide? Definitely go into an in-depth look on this, and I will definitely give you my takeaway from this epic encounter in the later part of the show. It's going to be coming up in just a little bit, so just wanted to tease you right there. You're definitely going to appreciate and like what I have to say with regards to that. Of course, one of the highlights that we had saw on WWE Raw was a very, I don't know if you want to say it was a poorly executed edition of Piper's Pit, but it wasn't the best Piper's Pit from what I can recall in recent years, as we saw the Hot Rod himself, Roddy Piper, interviewing Chris Jericho, saying to Chris Jericho how, hey, you definitely have to go into SummerSlam this Sunday and silence Dolph Ziggler. You have to silence those critics that are sitting up saying that you can't win that big one. You can't win that main important match. You got to prove them all wrong. You got to prove them on this one night that you can still win that big one when it counts the most. As you, the WWE audience, were able to decide who was going to be the special guest on Piper's Pit. And your picks were Chris Jericho, Dolph Ziggler, or the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. So you all were able to pick. However, I thought this was another poorly executed WWE Universe You Decide, because when you really think about this segment, we still saw all these guys come out, and quite honestly, I think it was actually a good idea that all of those guys had came out. I got to be honest, I thought it was going to be one of those really pushing the envelope type of interviews between Hot Rod and Chris Jericho. I really thought Hot Rod was just going to go off the charts, but it didn't go the way I was thinking. I mean, folks, for probably the first time that I can ever recall a negative thing being said about Hot Rod and his Piper's Pit live on the air, I would have to say that what Michael Cole had said about Piper's Pit this past Monday night, I think overall our sentiment is probably feeling the same way. And for those of you that didn't quite catch that, Michael Cole actually said this segment sucks. Now, we would later find out that apparently this was coming from Big Man himself, Vince McMahon, who did not like the way the segment was being run, and he yelled into Michael Cole's earpiece and told him to say that. Now, this just so happens may put a dent on future WWE legends making appearances to help stretch out that 3-hour edition of Raw, as Vince McMahon has been playing with the idea. He's been sleeping on it, going back and forth. He likes the whole concept of having legends come on to Raw, but he really doesn't want to have anything to do with them. And just with what had happened on Piper's Pit, unfortunately, Vince McMahon's mind, it might be made up for now that he doesn't want to have anything to do with bringing on, future WWE legends, which is a little bit sad when you think about it. I think this is not Hot Rod's fault. We all know what Roddy Piper is capable of. We know that the man, he can really talk. If you can just get him in a situation where he doesn't have to sit up and worry about restrictions. I think in this case, Hot Rod is fighting against the whole PG, because I'm thinking of all the times I have seen Hot Rod give an interview over the years. Just recently I saw Hot Rod give an interview at least about maybe, I want to say last month or 2 months ago. I can't remember the show that he had went on, as it wasn't a radio show, it was an actual one-on-one TV show that he was on, and I was really into what he was saying, and he was talking for at least 40 minutes. If the guy was really that bad, I don't think he would still be doing appearances. On top of that, I don't think Hot Rod would even be getting ready to do his own podcast show. I don't know if it's launched yet, but I know he had said a while back he was getting ready to do his own little wrestling radio show. The man can talk. I just think that this was a case where WWE, I kind of see where they wanted to go with this, but the whole PG era thing, I think it's finally starting to catch up with them when it comes to using certain WWE legends. I think that Vince McMahon should revisit this concept, except he should definitely go with the right legends that can definitely still deliver. And if we've seen any evidence right now of legends that aren't quite up to par on where they used to be a couple of years back, dealing with this new WWE product, unfortunately, Roddy Piper is at that top of the list. He's also followed by Kevin Nash. Let's not forget how Kevin Nash was the last time he had popped up in the WWE, and he was on Raw. I mean, this guy got his ass handed to him by CM Punk. Come on, I know you guys remember every single time Kevin Nash walks, click, click, click. Yeah, so I don't know about that one. Of course, one of the highlights that we had saw was a triple threat match between The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Chris Jericho, which I was really into. I was really enjoying this match. It was just really one of those type of matches where you really weren't sure who was going to get it, and I just loved how the crowd was just being so supportive of Chris Jericho. They were just really rallying behind him. And isn't it really cool, folks? It's been such a hell of a ride these past recent weeks, seeing this, I guess you could say, a rejuvenated Chris Jericho, because within recent weeks, it just seems like we've been getting the Chris Jericho of old. And by old, it just seems like we've been getting a modified version of a Chris Jericho from few years back, like maybe right around the time when he made his debut and he had all those catchphrases. He just really has been, it seems like he's just been having a lot of fun. And I know in that triple threat match from last night, he definitely was looking like he was having a ton of fun in that match. I did not want that match to end. I was just off my seats just watching this highly entertaining, fast-paced match. Jericho, hey, the man might be in his 40s. He may look a little bit older in the face, but the man proved that he can still throw it down. It just leaves no doubt in my mind that when Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler finally collide, as it was announced that they will be getting it on at SummerSlam, for those of you that might have missed it, definitely has one of the truest potentials to be the match stealer of the night. As, of course, we would see Dolph Ziggler, who definitely needed that momentum going into SummerSlam, pick up the win over Chris Jericho and The Miz. Let's go ahead now and let's also get you guys caught up on everything else that had happened on Raw. Of course, we got to talk about the WWE Champion, CM Punk, who surprisingly now, started off Raw. That's right. CM Punk started off Raw. I was a little bit surprised at this because here's a guy that's supposed to be ending Raw who's tired of not closing out each and every single week, taking on the Big Show. Now, I think you guys know this match was definitely a snoozer. That's why I didn't even want to open the show up talking about this snoozer of a match. I didn't think that was really a good way to kick off tonight's show. Luckily, though, during this match, Daniel Bryan saved the segment, I honestly feel. The man received such a huge pop as he came down to the ring and he's yelling at Cole and Jerry Lawler how it should be him that should be involved in this match at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship and that it should be a fatal four-way. And Daniel Bryan would go so far as to get in the ring and he would just start applying that no-lock to CM Punk. Meanwhile, we got Big Show looking on and he attacks Daniel Bryan, gets him off of him before we see a pretty ticked off John Cena come down to the ring and try to come to the aid of the WWE Champion. Of course, Raw General Manager AJ Lee, she would make her appearance and let it be known that tonight we're going to see a main event match as Big Show will be teaming up with Daniel Bryan to take on the team of John Cena and CM Punk, folks. One of the other highlights that we saw on tonight's or last night's Raw, rather, we got to see JTG get defeated by Ryback. JTG, who really hasn't been making that much waves within recent months, had made some serious headlines when he had took to Twitter recently and was talking about how frustrated that he was on behalf of himself and other mid-card wrestlers who felt that they are not getting the necessary push that they deserve. Also talking about how they felt gypped with their WrestleMania pays from this past year's WrestleMania. They are feeling like they aren't really being utilized. Had a lot of people buzzing, had a lot of dirt sheets feeling as though they were sitting on a hot story. And it's just so funny when you really think about it because he made these comments before he even made an appearance on Raw last night. And, folks, this is why I always sit up and say, don't be so hot to stay on a story that you think is, oh, man, this, don't believe everything that you read, because here's a case now where after JTG said that, we see him in a match against Ryback. Now, folks, if this was really legit, if JTG was really saying the things that he was saying about the WWE, don't you think he would have been suspended? Don't you think he would have been given his walking papers? You got to understand that, unfortunately, there are some wrestlers, and it's starting to become a trend now, especially if utilized right. It's definitely starting to become a trend for WWE where they sit up and they try to come up with some type of a way to create a storyline through social media to gain buzz and take them, hopefully, into WWE television. Same case had happened with Rosa Mendez, who was supposedly involved in a car accident. So you really got to be very careful when you see stuff like that break out on Twitter. A lot of people, unfortunately, they think that by staying glued to their Twitter accounts and looking at a wrestler's feed, they're going to get some type of a major breaking news. You really just want to wait at least a day or two. Try to see, make sure you have all the information before you run with it. Another case of don't always believe what the dirt sheets are trying to give to you because they only have some of it right, if they're lucky at that. How about that Ryback, though? Ryback, he gets a new intro, and I'm saying to myself, wow, they did this guy just like they did Batista. For you hardcore Batista fans, remember how it was when Batista was first wrestling and he had that Count Dracula music that was playing and it was instrumental? Then they revamped it a little bit. It was still instrumental, and you're like, all right, this is badass. But that's WWE's trend, it seems. Every single time they get some type of a big man, some type of a juggernaut of a man, they always want to sit up and add some type of vocals to the music. It seems like the only big man whose music went untouched that did not get ridiculous vocals, and I don't think his song needed vocals. As soon as you heard the music, you just knew what time it was. That was Bill Goldberg. I mean, there was no way you could touch that song. I mean, you don't even have to close your eyes. You could just picture that song, and you could just picture the man just standing there as the pyro comes up, and he's just inhaling that smoke, and then he just starts letting loose as the pyro just starts kicking off. You don't really need to revamp that music. I was a little bit surprised that they had changed Ryback's music. Honestly, I didn't feel that it was needed. I didn't think the new music sucked. I mean, big deal. He's saying in his music, feed me more, feed me more. Now I'm really going to be traumatized by the Little Shop of Horror. I mean, now it makes me want to actually see the movie now. I'll probably try to check it out this weekend if I get some free time. But, yes, we would see JTG, fresh off of his social media rants, get defeated by Ryback. Of course, later on this episode of Raw, we would also see Sin Cara in action as he would defeat Lord Tensai. Very interesting right here. We didn't see Lord Tensai for at least a solid week there after he had made those controversial comments on Tout. For those of you that might have missed it, there was a Tout video that he had released of him and his helper, his slave, if you want to call him that, Sakimoto, and I just think that's a terrible name right there, as Sakimoto is driving, and Lord Tensai says something to the effect of, and I'm not exaggerating this, I'm not making this up, this is exactly what he said, you all can Google it. Lord Tensai said the following, he said, you really can't be too careful with Japanese, they're bad drivers, and to add more insult to injury, he slaps Sakimoto upside the head and tells him to open his eyes. So, ouch. You would think that maybe, just maybe, we would see some type of serious repercussions happen with Tensai, since we just saw what had happened with Abraham Washington, and we'll definitely go into a more in-depth look on Abraham Washington in a special edition of Keeping It Real. No, we would just see Tensai be taken off television for just about a week. He comes back, he loses to Sin Cara. I kind of look at this as still him paying for what had happened with that tout outburst, folks. And, of course, we definitely got to pick it up with the main event of the night, which was CM Punk versus John Cena versus Daniel Bryan Big Show, as it was a 2-on-2 tag match. Again, CM Punk teaming up with John Cena to take on the team of Daniel Bryan and Big Show. This would pretty much be a case where on both respected teams, the other guy kind of had a little bit of an ego problem. So for CM Punk, his whole thing was, okay, you know what, John Cena, you want to go out there, you want to get it all done, you want to pick up the victory, you want the spotlight to be on you. All right, fine, go ahead, that's all you. So at one point during this match, we would see CM Punk not have anything to do with this tag match, as John Cena was on his own. Big Show, the 7'2", 500-pound giant who has that most devastating weapon, that WMD. He's doing a damn good job dominating. We see Daniel Bryan, who tags himself into the match, tells Big Show, go have a seat. He's got it. Big Show, yeah, he literally goes and has a seat and watches Daniel Bryan pretty much get his ass handed to him. As from there, folks, the very last image we would see is the WWE Champion CM Punk in the ring with John Cena after he has defeated Daniel Bryan, holding his WWE Championship up high, and extends his hand to shake John Cena's hand. John Cena just looking at him kind of like, what the hell? And we would see CM Punk walk off. Of course, later in the backstage segment, we would see CM Punk give his reaction to what had happened in the ring, as he would point out that, without a doubt, John Cena showed him the most terrible act of disrespect by not shaking his hand, and just confirms in his head exactly the type of person that John Cena is, as he promises that come SummerSlam, he's going to do everything he can in his power to make sure that he leaves that Los Angeles Staples Center still the WWE champion. Very, very interesting match right here, folks. Of course, we would see Damian Sandow, love that guy, in action as he defeated Christian. Christian, what happened, man? It just seems like all the buzz has just been taken out of you. I know me and my girlfriend were talking about Christian just the other day, and we were pretty much in agreement about how Christian needs to bring back that whole one more match gimmick. It just really seemed very catchy. As irritated as we were hearing it right before he went out on injury, it just seemed like that was one of the hottest damn things that he had going on at the time. And it just seems like ever since Christian has come back earlier this year, he's just been very quiet, just been jobbing to people. I kind of miss that old Christian that we last saw. I think it might be a little bit too much overkill right now on that Raw roster. Maybe it would be a good idea to possibly send Christian back to SmackDown. After all, he was doing a pretty damn good job over on the SmackDown roster. I don't know how you guys feel, but I definitely think Christian, he shouldn't be on Raw anymore. Just have him be exclusive to SmackDown. It really wouldn't hurt him. It would actually do him a good world of good, because it's just too much overkill right now, especially with the way things are looking with Damian Sandow. I mean, it is really, really looking like WWE, they are trying to set it up so that Damian Sandow can be more and more of a Raw exclusive. It's playing out exactly how I said it a couple of months back on an episode of the Rcwr Show. I said, don't be too surprised if eventually you start to see Damian Sandow become an exclusive. And we just now got all these dirt sheets talking about, Damian Sandow, he's working the program with Brodus Clay because they feel that Damian Sandow has what it takes to be a superstar. You didn't need the dirt sheets to tell you that, folks. You could have just been paying attention if you were watching him when he was down in FCW or whatever it was before they changed the name. You could have known that as soon as you saw him make his SmackDown debut. So very easy to put two and two together and know that that guy definitely has all the right things to be a hell of a superstar. Let's talk about the main attraction of the night, and I definitely want to tackle this, and I definitely can't wait to open up the phone lines later tonight and get you all's reaction to this segment. But throughout the night, and I mean when you add it up and you put in the replays, all the hype within recent weeks, it all came down to this one moment. We see Shawn Michaels throughout the night who's just walking around. He's agitated. He just has this weird feeling that Brock Lesnar is going to do something to him. He wants no part of Brock Lesnar. Triple H is nowhere to be found, as apparently he is caught up in traffic, flight delays, something like that, whatever. And Shawn Michaels, he is just really, of all my years that I have seen the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, I don't think intimidation or scared comes into mind. And I'm a hardcore Shawn Michaels fan. I've never really recalled a moment where he was scared of somebody. Maybe kind of cocky and trying to do everything he can to eventually dodge an ass beating that's going to be coming to him, like if he were to toy with Kane or toy with The Undertaker. But I've never seen Shawn Michaels actually trying to go out of his way to make sure he doesn't get harmed by somebody. Well, we would see Shawn Michaels rub elbows with John Cena throughout the night. We would see Shawn Michaels throw elbows with Hot Rod, Roddy Piper himself. Well, it's the moment that we all were somewhat waiting for, as we would see Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar. They go out to the ring, and they inform everybody that, hey, Triple H, what's happening with him being stuck in traffic or having a flight delay, it must be legit because this is a match that Triple H really wanted. But it doesn't just stop there. Paul Heyman brilliantly starts calling out Shawn Michaels. He starts playing those right buttons. And how do you annoy the hell out of someone from San Antonio, Texas? Well, you just say that they're yellow. And that's exactly what Paul Heyman did, as we would see the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, come out. Only after he gets in the ring with the next big thing does he kind of realize he made a serious mistake. As finally we would see Triple H come down to the ring, and it's a contract signing. Oh, joy, it's another contract signing. We really didn't even need that, folks. I honestly, we didn't need that. So we have this contract signing between Triple H, Brock Lesnar. Triple H signs first. He gives it to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, he signs it, throws it in the chest of Triple H, walks out. I know, right? We're all groaning at the same time. We're saying, okay, so almost 40 minutes was killed just to see this? Really? But wait. They got us. Because here's what happens next. We see Shawn Michaels, Triple H in the backstage segment, and Shawn Michaels is telling Hunter, you really got to be careful with this guy. I've faced a lot of guys over the years, Hunter. This guy, he's not quite like Undertaker. There's just something about this guy that just spells bad news. You watch yourself. You watch your back. When it's all said and done, Hunter, you got to go out there on Sunday. You got to beat this man yourself. I can't help you beat him. Hunter, he's like, hey, calm down. I got this. It's going to be okay. I'll see you later. Shawn Michaels, he goes off in his little rental car, And as we would hear later on, we would hear that apparently Shawn Michaels, who's in his car, somehow bumps into Paul Heyman, who's in his car, who pretty much derails him as Shawn is trying to make his way out of the arena. And we just hear Paul Heyman saying, "Oh, Shawn, sorry, so sorry, didn't mean that to happen." Shawn Michaels, he kind of knows what exactly is happening, but it's already too late. We see Brock Lesnar. He comes out of nowhere. He grabs Shawn Michaels out of the car, literally from out of the window on the driver's side. We see the cameras get knocked. It fades to black. We hear Brock Lesnar say, "You give this a Triple H for me." And we just hear all these moans and groans and all this loud damage happening as the cameras are just totally dead right now. And it just abruptly goes to a commercial. I like that whole element of you can just imagine what's happening. I don't really want to imagine. I'm still saying to myself, man, I know we were interacting with a lot of you WWE Raw fans when all this was happening, and we were definitely paying attention to you guys. You guys were like, this is not going to do it. They got to show more. Not exactly sold just yet. Please show more. Well, we would get that as when we pick back up, we see Shawn Michaels' car. It's in a total wreck. We see Hunter. He's trying to find out what all has happened. Nobody knows where Shawn Michaels is. Nobody knows where Paul Heyman is. Nobody knows where Brock Lesnar is. We cut back to the ring where it turns out all three of them, they're getting ready to go into the ring as we see Brock Lesnar has Shawn Michaels over his shoulders, takes him down to the ring, tosses him in there, delivers that crucial, devastating trademark F5, follows it up with that ugly submission arm hold that he did to Triple H to break his arm a couple of months back, as we see Triple H run down trying to help his little buddy. Paul Heyman tells Hunter, don't take another step. If you do, your friend's arm is going to get broke. Just like that, Triple H, he's trying to do his best to comply. What happens? Brock Lesnar breaks his arm anyway, as we have a pissed off Triple H who's trying to go get him some of Brock Lesnar, but it's done. The damage is over with as Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, they quickly make their exit as Triple H tries to go to his little buddy, but Shawn doesn't want to have anything to do with Hunter. So that's pretty much the end of Raw. Now, let's talk about this particular segment right here. If y'all been listening for the past couple of months, you all know exactly how I envision this to be executed. They only got some of it down right. I don't know about you guys, but I think that the payoff would have been better had they did it on HBK Appreciation Night. And just to show you guys that it should have definitely happened on that, some of the WWE writers actually wanted it to happen on Appreciation Night. They felt that it made more sense. Here was their problem. They weren't really sure how to exactly follow it up, since the next Raw was going to be the final Raw before SummerSlam. Really, guys? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 of you guys that need to write Raw every single week, and that's your problem? You know, there's a thing called Twitter. There's a thing called Facebook. You guys could have maybe hopped on there, maybe used the key hashtag Raw to see what everybody is saying. Maybe you could have got some type of an idea. Now, here's how you really could have made those people click on that buy button for the SummerSlam pay-per-view just to particularly see this match between Lesnar and Hunter. You have Brock Lesnar destroy HBK on Appreciation Day, which honestly, when we look back at it now, folks, what was the point of Appreciation Day for Shawn Michaels? Shawn Michaels had his Appreciation Day the night after his WrestleMania match against The Undertaker, and Undertaker made him retire. That was his Appreciation Night right there. It doesn't get any better than that. Why did we need a HBK Appreciation Night? That night should have definitely been used for Brock Lesnar to really hurt Shawn Michaels, just as he did this past Monday night. But it would have had more of an impact because it was in Shawn Michaels' hometown, San Antonio, Texas. It doesn't get any better than that. Now, how do you follow that up? Well, this past Monday night on Raw, you could have had Triple H come out, and he could have cut one of those vintage promos. We could have saw shades of the old Triple H that used to be that hardcore heel badass that would do all types of dirty things, be that game, the real game. And at some point, we could have seen Triple H maybe get his hands on Paul Heyman, and he could have messed him up with a sledgehammer, basically take this guy out to get a little bit of payback for what Lesnar did to Shawn, and it basically would have been tied 1-1. Then you would have had a strong sell going into the SummerSlam. I just think that should have been the way that they should have did this. I really was a bit on the fence when I had saw them execute this the way that they did, and it just baffles me that they really weren't sure what to do with these guys on this past Monday night's Raw. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys, y'all may agree with what I just said. You all may be able to come up with a better angle that should have went down this past Monday night. But I think we all could definitely be in agreement that they spent way too much time, they spent way too much hype on this when really the payoff, it just wasn't quite enough. I will give Shawn Michaels credit for one thing. Despite having his new hunting show, I give the man a lot of props. At least he still went out there and he took some bumps, because I know in a recent interview he did talk about how much physical abuse he could take in a WWE ring for the few appearances that he would make, and he did bring up the fact that he has a responsibility to the show that he does. He has a responsibility to his family. Basically, he wants to be able to still go home and play with his kids, run with them, all that good stuff. Totally understandable, but Shawn Michaels, I have a lot of respect for that guy. I appreciate what he did in the name of selling that Triple H Lesnar match. He put his body out there. We know the documented story of how his back has been holding up over the years. A lot of props, but I just think it was one of those type of deals where they, unfortunately, they being WWE, they kind of missed that window of opportunity of true excitement where they had that right moment where all the stars were aligned to really execute this, and they didn't really, they did it a little bit too late, I feel. Well, we're definitely going to be paying attention to what you all are saying in the chat room with regards to that. And also, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to do this right now. Take a brief commercial break. Then when we come right back, we're going to jump into some wrestling-related news. We're definitely going to get you guys caught up on everything that you might have missed or what's got you all talking. We definitely want to do a Keep It Real segment and bring up the one Abraham Washington whose mouth has just not been able to shut up ever since he got released from WWE. I briefly touched up on some of the things that he had said in a piece that I had wrote last week, but we definitely want to go into a more in-depth look. Definitely going to like what I have to say with regards to that. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a brief commercial break. Then we're going to come right back and jump right into it. So sit tight. You're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the Rcwr Show on August 14th, 2012, 15 minutes before the midnight hour. We'll be coming right back, folks. Hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the Rcwr Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is an app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the Rcwr Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the Rcwr Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
All right, and we're back. You're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show. So we just got done talking about Raw there in that last segment. You know, just before we go on to talk about wrestling-related news, I definitely want to just touch up on something. You know, overall with regards to Raw, I don't know, man. I just kind of got this vibe that it wasn't as good as the weeks prior. I don't know. There's just something. I don't know if it was the Brock Lesnar thing. I don't know what it was. I tell you one thing that kind of jumped out at me, and I definitely was just. I was telling my girlfriend about this as soon as I saw it, and I was just on a rant for like 10 minutes, bashing it. But you had these stupid freaking tout videos that aired on Monday. And you see these guys, and I'm just so freaking ashamed when I see these guys. You had most of these guys that were in their 30s giving their reaction to what had happened with Alberto Del Rio being stripped of his world championship spot to face Sheamus at the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And it was one of those type of deals where they went to tout to get fan reactions, asking if Booker T did the right thing. And you had these guys sitting up. Well, there's one segment in particular. There's one tout video. There were these three white guys, hair on their faces like I don't know what, bass in their voices. Yeah, well, I definitely think what happened with Booker T there, I definitely think Booker T did the right thing. You go ahead, Booker T. Really? You think Booker T did the right thing? I think that Alberto, well, guys, you know, and I'm saying to myself, really? 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 I mean, it's one thing if you have a wrestling radio show like us and, other guys, and they're going to tout and they're trying to get fans' reactions to whatever they may have seen during the night for that episode or whatever wrestling show or wrestling pay-per-view. It's one thing if you're trying to use it to, for PR purposes, basically. But to basically be sitting up, kind of picking your nose, playing with your belly button and saying, I think I want to make my voice be heard. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a tout video, and I'm going to voice my opinion because I want to look cool. I'm sorry, but there's nothing really cool if you're in your 30s and you're talking about a show, a wrestling show, that's scripted. And as I'm watching these guys talk, I'm saying to myself, these guys do know that this is wrestling entertainment, right? They do know that this is just something that's just created for TV. I was just nodding my head, and I was just saying to myself, oh my God, because unfortunately, when you really think about it, it makes us wrestling fans, especially us that report it, it makes our job a little bit harder. It's bad enough we have that core audience that turns that nose up when they hear the word wrestling. The first thing they'll sit up and do, they'll go ignorant, and they'll go, oh, y'all like that wrestling? So there's the first insult. Then the second thing that they put out there is, oh, well, that thing's fake. And it's like, okay, yeah, we know that it is. We aren't denying that. But then they go the route of, oh, man, nothing but a bunch of men in their underwear just getting it on in the ring. And all you guys that be watching it, that's adults. Y'all sorry for watching it. So it's really hard to see guys sit up and do a tout video talking about it. WWE, I have a very, very serious message. Hopefully you all will get this. The tout fan reactions, age demographic-wise, I can't stress it enough. Stay with 12 to 18 years old. That's the core audience right now, especially since you all are trying to go for that PG effect. Just go that route. We really do not need to be seeing no hairy-looking guys. It's one thing if we see fans in their 20s and up, they have a tout video where they're actually with their favorite WWE star and, they're getting an autographed poster or something like that, or heck, at least show us a fan that can sit up and say, well, I had the opportunity to see Booker T live in person a couple of years back when he was wrestling, and I've just been a big fan of Booker T. I definitely think that, this was the right move that should have happened. Hopefully, though, we'll still have some type of match for SummerSlam. That would have kind of looked a little cool right there. A little decent. But, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I just thought that was a little bit too much overkill right there. And, that's just how I feel about that. But I just had to touch up on that. WWE, show us a younger audience for your tout videos, or just don't show them at all. That's all I have to say about that. So, of course, latest WWE Raw ratings have come in. Must admit, not too good, as this is the first decline that Raw has had since it's been doing 3 hours now, and it doesn't even have just quite yet a month under its belt. And we definitely want to share with you all the latest WWE Raw ratings, as last Monday's Raw gained a 2.84 rating with 4.13 million viewers. And again, this has been the lowest rated episode since the show moved to 3 hours just last month. Now, last week, episode did a 3.08 rating with 4.367 million viewers. The week before that also had a 3.08. So not really sure what's happening right there. You would expect that strong, solid episode going into the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Not really sure what to make of this, but they better hurry up and they better get this ball back up and rolling. Otherwise, if the ratings continue to go on that bit of a decline, a slow decline at that, this 3-hour installment might not look like a long-term deal as they would like for it to be, I feel. We should be able to get a better idea of how Raw does the night after SummerSlam, as usually they see their strongest ratings. So still preseason football. I believe preseason football finally kicked off. Not really too many people care about that. They got a couple of weeks to go before Monday Night Football comes back. Let's see how they get this ball really up and rolling, because I feel their real challenge is going to be with Monday Night Football. That's going to be the real story right there. That should be an interesting matchup. Can they keep that viewer's attention during that whole block of Monday Night Football? That's going to be an interesting matchup right there. And, of course, we definitely got to do a Keep It Real segment right now. We definitely got to get you guys caught up on what all has been happening with Abraham Washington, who has just been continuing to make headlines ever since he got released from the WWE. Now, for those of you that may have not heard, we'll get you caught up to speed, 90 seconds or less. Basically, in a nutshell, a couple of weeks back on Raw, Abraham Washington, he sat up and he said live in front of a Colorado crowd as Titus O'Neil was wrestling against, I think it was R-Truth. And AW said Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant in a Colorado hotel. He's unstoppable. And with that remark, immediately just gave the WWE a little bit of bad press. So bad, immediately after they came back from commercial break, Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, they apologized for AW's comments. Now, just a few days later, Abraham Washington would get released. And ever since he was released, he would just sit up and he would just be on this bashing campaign of the WWE. So, this is pretty much what Abraham Washington had to say. We'll get you guys caught up here. Abraham Washington, he would release a first shot of tweets towards the WWE, bringing up very valid points now. Now, here's where it gets a little weird here. He notes that he apologized to McMahon for the outburst, but that it would never happen again. But then just later, the same week, we see Matt Bloom, a.k.a. Tenzai, who made that racial joke about Japanese people being bad drivers. We already highlighted that. Okay? But then we see AW get fired. So AW, he picked up on that. He said, okay, it was the WWE that made me bold, and now it's turned its back on me. These are all tweets I'm reading from this guy. Just be normal. Shut up and be a yes man so you can collect your check and feel like you're special. Hashtag sellouts. He would follow this up with, I remember a time when the WWE didn't care about breaking the mold, but now everyone is so afraid of their own shadow. Hashtag remember the fans. Thank you, WWE, for creating me and then killing me because I only portrayed what I grew up watching. The hashtag WWE. Now, a WWE representative would tell TMZ.com that Abraham Washington was terminated because he continued exhibiting poor judgment by making inappropriate and offensive comments on live TV and social media. So WWE so far, they kind of look like they got a one-up over Abraham Washington. Well, Abraham Washington would continue those Twitter rants. That's right. Now, he would take shots at former WWE CEO Linda McMahon. He would take shots at WWE Chairman Vince McMahon. And he also brought up foul acts that's occurred in the WWE in recent years. Now, here's what he had to say. Again, all on Twitter, he's doing this. AW on Linda McMahon, create jobs, my ass. I'm fired thanks to you and your campaign. Vince McMahon can say the N-word on national TV. Now, for those of you that are kind of like, huh? When the hell did Vince McMahon say the N-word? There was an episode of Raw, and it's now 12:02, so I can go a little raunchy here with the language. So anybody under 15, I don't know what to tell you, but, it's raunchy time now, all right? But basically there was an episode of Raw a couple of years back where Vince McMahon had showed up in a backstage segment, and he was trying to act kind of cool and hip, like he knew what all was going on with his roster. So he comes across John Cena, who's the WWE champion at the time, and I know you guys are probably going to laugh because I'm told I do a pretty good Vince McMahon impression, but you can't make this up. Vince McMahon, he sees John Cena, he's like, well, John Cena, how you doing? And John Cena, he's like, hey, I'm doing pretty good, sir. I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good, my nigger. And that's exactly what Vince McMahon said. So that's the segment that AW is talking about. For those of you that aren't really sure about that, you can Google it, and before anybody starts pulling the racial card and say, Lee, you're racist against black people, I may sound like a cool, hip white guy from California, but I am black as a Hershey's bar. So go look me up on YouTube. You'll see some Unchained episodes. I do a little web series on there, so don't take it personal for you guys that heard that. All right? So let's pick it back up where AW was talking about that whole N-word on national TV. So he says, Vince McMahon can say the N-word on national TV, but AW Promotions can't tell a joke. What's wrong with this picture? McMahon is a hypocrite. It's cool for him to make fun of JR's Bell's palsy. And you aren't cut any slack for one joke? Hashtag be a star Vince. I hope Vince hasn't forgotten how he mocked JR on Raw Live and AW Promotions gets released for one joke. If only you had strangled someone with your tie, you'd be back within 6 months. Laugh out loud, referencing what had happened with Daniel Bryan, who started off early on NXT in his career, and he had choked out, I believe it was announcer Justin Roberts. Next thing you know, he was canned. What did Daniel Bryan do, though? He stayed quiet. He didn't make no fuss. The fans, they let their voices be heard. Next thing you know, Daniel Bryan's back in the WWE. Daniel Bryan, look where he is now. He played that card beautifully. All right? DX can tell everyone to suck it, but you can't make a joke. CM Punk told one of his Twitter followers to kill themselves. Not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, CM Punk also not once, but at least twice, had something derogatory to say about homosexuals. Anybody in the chat room, if you could confirm that, let me know. But if my memory serves correctly, at least on 2 occasions, CM Punk had something to say negatively about homosexuals. Kane has sex with a dead girl, but AW Promotions makes a Kobe joke and gets fired. Vince can kick the leg out from under a one-legged kid. Zach Gowen, for those of you that are like, huh? Probably a little bit before your time if you weren't watching WWE wrestling right around the early 2000 era, one-legged wrestler by the name of Zach Gowen. He was a damn good athlete for a guy that was able to do amazing stuff with just one leg, but his problem while he was in the WWE was he had a little bit of a ego problem, and he did not last that long, unfortunately. All right. Let's see. So let's pick it back up with the one-legged women. Wrestle women mocked the mentally retarded, and he fired you. Didn't Big Show make a Kobe Bryant reference in a battle rap with Cena in 2003? But AW gets let go. Now, AW would also go on to say within recent days that he was fired because he had wished Linda McMahon success on her campaign, and apparently he feels that ultimately this is what led to him getting his relief, as apparently Vince McMahon and crew, they are very strict on their talent about referencing Linda McMahon, who is no longer having anything to do with the WWE, as she is on her little campaign to be the Senate of Connecticut. They cannot utter her name. She's been having a very difficult time trying to convince everybody that she does not have anything to do with the WWE, as the main question has been, okay, well, how are you funding your campaign, Linda? You want to talk about giving 600-plus people jobs. Are you talking about the WWE? Are you talking about some other type of enterprise, franchise, some type of other industry that you went into other than sports entertainment? Where were these other 600-plus jobs? And she's just been really on the fence about all this, trying to distance herself as much as possible from the WWE. So this exactly did not quite help AW, who put that tweet out there. But let's just keep it real here for a second, folks. This does not have anything to do, well, part of what he said about Linda, wishing her good luck, whatever, we can throw that in there, all right? Put two and two together for a second here, and a lot of people just irritate the hell out of me because I was watching the Twitter feeds when AW got fired, and I'm kicking back as usual. I'm waiting. I'm seeing all the dirt sheets. They're reporting on this. I'm like, okay, let's just go with the obvious. He was fired from WWE. We know the Kobe Bryant thing, it has something to do with it. So that's all we put out there on our website. We didn't try to make too much more of it. I sat up, I told my staff, I said, don't put anything more on AW out there until more information comes out. And then when it does come out, we'll just talk about it on the show. Now, I saw all these people on Twitter, wrestling radio shows, wrestling fans, oh, AW, oh, what you said, you was just on point, man. Yeah, man, you just had a bad luck right there. You just got dealt a bad hand. Oh, we're so sorry that had happened to you, man. Oh, you're a really great talker on the mic. Man, I sat up personally, and I sent him a tweet. I said to him straight up, I said, what the hell were you expecting, bro? You made the Kobe Bryant comment in Colorado fresh off of the Batman shootings. And we're just a couple of weeks away from SummerSlam at the Los Angeles Staples Center, which is owned by Jerry Buss. What were you expecting to happen? To you to be able to get away from this scot-free? Vince McMahon has a responsibility to shareholders, to stockbrokers, advertisers. Do you honestly think he's going to possibly jeopardize making future WWE appearances at the Staples Center because of one guy? That's going to look bad. I mean, can you just imagine that, folks? You're at your job and, maybe you have beef with your boss or you have a bad day. You say something foul. You honestly think that you're going to be able to keep your job after that, it's just a matter of time before they axe your ass. And this was exactly what had happened with Abraham Washington. So all you guys that sitting up, kissing AW's ass, let's just be for real, okay? Yes, the guy, he definitely is a good talker. He has great mic work, but unfortunately, his timing sucks with some of the things that he has been saying on live TV and on social media. Some of the things that he's been saying, he has not run through the WWE, as that Kobe Bryant was definitely one that he did not get cleared. Okay? What exactly did you expect to happen? I know if I were to make some type of comments like that, it wouldn't shock me if I was released from the company later within the week. So AW right now, he's just being very bitter. He's just doing what he can to continue to get that spotlight put on him, I feel. I say, hey, man, enjoy your 15 seconds of fame while it lasts, because eventually it's going to fade away. And a lot of people, unfortunately, 3 years from now, they're not really going to be thinking about you. And that really speaks large volumes. That says a lot about your legacy in WWE history. You know, it's unfortunate because, yeah, you definitely had some really great mic work, but, you know, it's enough of a deal where it's not really going to be that much of a impact that's going to be missed. So, smart move on WWE for separating themselves from this guy. And I know Blue Meanie, he actually had said, you know, something to that effect as well. Great minds think alike, that, you know, hey, this is probably a move that happened because SummerSlam is pretty close by. I mean, just think about it. You have somebody say something bad about you, and then you're going to show up at the owner's stadium expecting to be able to wrestle, get your little 15 minutes of fame. That sends a pretty bad message. Some type of disciplinary action had to be taken. I have a strong feeling that he was probably told time and time again to be careful. They knew exactly what they wanted out of him. But I think that it's just a combination of not getting things cleared by the WWE first, and then just the timing of everything that he had to say. I can appreciate the hell out of somebody coming into Colorado just days after the shootings and trying to figure out some type of a way to capitalize on the buzz that's been happening there. But, you know, I just think it really should have just been left alone. Definitely very curious to hear you all's opinions on that. When we get ready to open up the phone lines in a little bit, definitely feel free to share your thoughts on what you make about this whole AW fiasco. Really crazy stuff right here. And let's get you guys caught up. Speaking of Linda McMahon, now she just recently defeated former Republican Chris Shays in the Republican primary in Connecticut earlier tonight. Now, keep in mind, she's already spent, get this, at least $12 million for her campaign. She's now going to be facing Democrat-Republican Christopher Murphy this November for Senator Joe Lieberman's seat. As Joe Lieberman, of course, he's going to be retiring. So will this time be a charm for Linda McMahon? Who knows? We definitely got to talk about Kurt Angle. I know he's with TNA, but hey, he used to be with WWE, and he actually had some things to say that were directed towards the WWE champion, CM Punk. Now, CM Punk, he recently made a joke while he was at a Q&A at Comic-Con in Chicago over the weekend, and he made a joke about TNA basically being an indie league. Well, Kurt Angle, he took offense to this, and he wrote on his Twitter account, Punk wants to say TNA is an indie league? I was on top in WWE when you were trying to get a job anywhere. It was my choice to go to TNA. If I ever see you, Punk, hide, bitch. Now, Angle would later issue an apology for his comments on Twitter, writing, I apologize to TNA and WWE for my comment. I don't expect Punk to apologize to TNA, but I'm sorry. Respect the biz. And he later clarified that he was apologizing to WWE and TNA fans and not to Punk by adding, I didn't apologize to Punk, only the WWE TNA fans. Punk disrespected TNA. He has a lot to learn about fame and responsibility. Kurt Angle, folks, I love Kurt Angle. I mean, really, I love Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, he's really been trying hard. We know sometimes he says a lot of things that is either misleading or is a damn right lie. You know, sometimes we're not really sure what to make of some of the things that Kurt Angle has said, but I got to agree with Kurt Angle here on this one. You know, it's like, how quickly have we forgotten CM Punk? You know, well, what happened, bro? Did you forget you used to come from Ring of Honor Wrestling, man? Did you forget how it was when you were on the indie scene, man? What happened to you, man? It's kind of one of those type of deals now where CM Punk, he's kind of forgotten his old roots there. You know, there's nothing wrong with the indie league, and you know, it's kind of funny when I think about it because over the past few months, there's been quite a few TNA wrestlers on the roster that has gone out of their way to give CM Punk praise. So I just think that it's kind of weird there that CM Punk would take that type of a shot. I don't really know. I don't know. CM Punk kind of strikes me as the type of guy who wouldn't exactly go out of his way to say something severely demeaning like that towards another organization. Maybe it was just one of those type of deals where he didn't really think about it before he opened his mouth. I don't really think he meant that much harm. And quite honestly, I definitely agree with what Kurt Angle is saying right here because, you know what, I would like to believe that with what we had saw earlier this year with Ric Flair coming from TNA to WWE to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then at TNA Slammiversary, we saw Christian make an appearance. He made a return to TNA. You know, I would like to believe that once all this lawsuit crap has settled with the WWE and TNA, I would like to believe that we could actually see some type of a relationship between these organizations where we could continue to see some type of a line of communication open where they can share talent like they did there with Ric Flair and Christian. I just thought that was a really interesting concept right there, and it just seemed like just when maybe some type of progress was being made between two companies in their own right being successful, trying to break new grounds, we got hurt with this lawsuit, and now it just seems like we've taken a few steps back. This, what CM Punk said, it doesn't exactly help things out. So CM Punk, hopefully he can keep his mouth shut from here on out. If he were to open his mouth again, hopefully it's just to do damage control and maybe apologize to Kurt Angle, apologize to Dixie Carter, apologize to the TNA wrestling fans, you know, because really that type of comment just really was not needed. Of course, we definitely got to bring up what has been going on with Kevin Nash. Now, we briefly had brought him up last week, but it's been getting a lot of buzz. The controversial comments that he had made about WWE Champion CM Punk, and he also had talked about Bryan Danielson, saying how basically these guys are as short as the referees. They probably do not get recognized when they're at an airport or just walking down the street, that they have to go as far as to put on their little gimmick shirts and all that and have a belt be on their shoulder just for them to get recognized. And he would reference genitalia area and all that other crap, basically taking a knock at them for being short, not exactly being big men. And a lot of people, they had got offended by this, and it just created a hell of a storm. Now, Kevin Nash, he's been trying to go out. He's been trying to do a little bit of damage control, trying to put a little bit more clarity on what it is that he's been saying, you know, trying to explain himself, basically. Well, here's some of the things that Kevin Nash had to say. I think you guys will definitely find this a little interesting, as recently he had made an appearance on a radio show, and he brought up the whole size difference thing. Now, let's pick it up right where he talks about the PG era and CM Punk. This is what he had to say. I think the number one thing that hurts still is the fact that they're PG. I'm a huge fan of Punks. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to watch two grown men say they're going to beat the crap out of each other. That's my personal opinion. I'm also saying that it doesn't look to me like he spends a lot of time in the weight room. I just think it would enhance his look and everything. We were all drug-free and drug-tested for years at the WWE, and there were a lot of guys that had great physiques. I think that comes with it. Now, you know what? He does bring up a very valid point right there, because I know a couple of years back, before WWE, Vince McMahon, before they finally just embraced CM Punk, one of the things that they did have a problem with, especially when he had his first run as WWE champion, they did want him to pick up more bulk. They did feel that he needed to add a little bit more muscle mass to his body to try to make him look more believable as a champion, to make up for the height. Because as we all know, Vince McMahon, he loves those big, tall, beefy, muscular-looking Zeus god type of deals. That's what he's into. But CM Punk, he's just been the same build since really day one. So I can definitely appreciate what Kevin Nash is saying right there. He does bring up a very good point. Now, he also talked about the widespread reaction about his comments and what he's been receiving. He says, you guys aren't backstage. You guys aren't around when the brass makes decisions. You guys aren't around when they all say, God, I wish he was bigger, or God, yeah, but the guy just doesn't have enough size. It's their opinion. I'm just stating my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right, but am I allowed my opinion? I pay taxes. I'm allowed my opinion. And my opinion, that's how I feel. That doesn't mean anybody else has to jump aboard and say I have to agree with him because he says so. Number one, I've always been an internet darling and always will be, and if I were to say something and was just somebody that didn't have an opinion, you wouldn't be calling me. It's just because Kevin Nash said it. Oh, my God, Kevin Nash said it. Oh, my God, Jericho rebuked it for Eddie and Chris. Eddie was a friend, and Chris was a friend. When the tragedy went down with Benoit, I think I was one of the few guys that went on TV and tried to make sense of it. These people that think I'm desecrating deceased wrestlers, I'm talking about them as wrestlers and not the person. Sometimes I look at it and I just go, you know what? Don't even have an opinion. Be a sheep like everyone else. Now, he would also talk about Chris Jericho's tweet, that rebuttal on the worst year of the WWE business was when Kevin Nash was champion. Kevin Nash would say, absolutely disagree. When I walked in the door in 1993, we did $100,000 gate at Madison Square Garden. My last show at the Garden, we did $309,000 before I jumped to WCW, and I was in the main event with Shawn Michaels. I absolutely disagree. The business was better when I left that when I got there. And he also talked about if the future of the company is in good hands of Triple H, and he said, absolutely, I think he'll change the product in a way that he feels is good to change the product. I don't think the product will stay the same. I think that he has a different vision than other people do. I'm just saying other people. I mean, Vince isn't the only one that is in the meetings and has a voice. There's other people, Kevin Dunn. There's a lot of people that have a voice in that company. Really great stuff right here from Kevin Nash. He also talked about John Cena, how much he likes him, and also talked about if WWE were to decide to go into a different direction with regards to MMA. And he also talked about if he had any issues with CM Punk. And he did touch up on that. So definitely want to close it out with this Kevin Nash piece by covering this. He said, yeah, I have such an issue with him that we fell asleep next to each other in the locker room in London, and I knew he had a bad back, and I made sure he got up so he wouldn't have to be in too much pain. I hung around with him most of the time that I was on the European trip. I talked to him on a daily basis. We were handed edits to our live interviews 30 seconds before we went live to air, and basically had the ability to look at each other like we're going out into a foxhole together. I have nothing but respect for Phil. I've said that a million times. Once his feud with, let me see here. I don't have my glasses tonight. Hang on a second. He also talked about his feud with CM Punk last year. He said, I think I was so rusty. I basically spent 5 years doing taped interviews. I was so out of my element, and plus it's very controlled. It's not like it used to be where you just kind of went out there and were able to wing it. I never felt comfortable in my element one time. I was told by Vince McMahon not to yell. Don't yell. Don't do this. Your cadence is too slow. I was like, dude, I've been doing this for 25 years. I talk like this. So it was difficult for me. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It never felt comfortable. And you walk in the door and you don't know anybody. I'm not saying that it was a bad experience. I wish I could have done the favor for Phil. I wish we could have had the match, and I wish I could have put him over. Very valid point right there for those of you that want to know exactly why that feud with CM Punk did not happen, why that feud had ended so abruptly. Turns out Kevin Nash was on Plavix, and the WWE wellness doctor said that there was a chance that if he was to get an internal injury or something like that during the match, that he could bleed out and die. So they had no choice but to pull him out of there, and that's why Triple H had went in to Kevin Nash's place. Really great stuff right there. You know, when I first heard all this stuff about Kevin Nash, you know, the first thing I said to myself, you know, Kevin Nash, there is a reason behind a lot of the things that he says. Sometimes he just wants to create that buzz, but there is a really damn good thought process into why Kevin Nash says what he says, and he always knows how to articulate what it is that he's saying, and I hope you guys were really able to pick it up in this piece that I just read for you guys of this interview that he did recently. The guy, so freaking underrated. A lot of people, they want to, yeah, he got the bad knees, and yeah, he did kind of look embarrassed that last time he was on WWE programming, but he really has a great mind for the business. Yeah, he definitely probably should not have been in charge of WC booking back in the day, as that really did not turn out too well, but the guy definitely has a really great mind. He's very articulate. I always love hearing a really great Kevin Nash interview. And actually, for you guys that are into Kevin Nash, there is a interview that he's going to be doing. And you know, I'm not getting any money for this plug. I just love these guys. They know I love them, so mad shout out to you guys. But PWR, they're going to have Kevin Nash be on their show as they celebrate getting 10 million views on YouTube. It's going to be a prime time Wednesday night edition that you guys will be able to check out, and they're actually going to be conducting an interview, pre-taped, with Kevin Nash, talking about all these heated words that has been transpiring, all the things that he said about Punk, Daniel Bryan. I think you guys will definitely appreciate that. Check it out. Those guys, they actually know how to tell some really, they do pretty good interviews with wrestlers. You'll definitely appreciate that. It's not every day we give them free press. They know we love them. We try to, holler at them all the time. And we're friendly. We're super friends. So definitely check that out when you guys get a chance. All right, so moving right along now, we got some interesting news for you Dave Bautista fans. Dave Bautista's MMA debut will be going down at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island. And for those of you that might have missed it, that fight is going to be going down on October 6th, as he's going to be taking on the heavyweight champion, light heavyweight champion, Rashid Evans. Please don't be confused with the UFC fighter, Rashad Evans. Two completely different people. Tickets for that, it went on sale yesterday. You can check them out at Ticketmaster.com. Pretty good seats, man. You can get it as low as $20, goes as high as $250. For those of you that are not going to be able to attend it in person, guess what? You guys will be able to check it out live on pay-per-view through Direct TV. If there was ever a time to have Direct TV, it would be right around there. So you all will be able to check that fight out. Hopefully Dave Bautista does not get his ass handed to him in his first MMA fight. I'm definitely going to be rooting the DC native on. Us DC natives, we definitely got to stick together. Dave Bautista, he's currently training at his gym down in Florida, as he is going to be working rigorously for the next 8 weeks in preparation for this fight. So definitely cannot wait to see how that goes, folks. And Mick Foley has recently made news. Mick Foley revealed that at one of his recent comedy shows that he had decided to postpone some major back surgery so that he would be able to attend the festival. He has rescheduled it for early September. Really hope that Mick Foley has successful surgery, but at the same time, Mick, you got to do something with that weight, man. It just feels like every time I see Mick Foley gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really hard for me to believe, and I was telling my girlfriend this a good while back. I said, Mick Foley, he's not only married, but he has a very beautiful wife. And she was like, really? And I think we ended up watching Beyond the Mat, and very gorgeous wife that he has. Really hard to believe that, when you really kind of think about it, she's just stunning, beautiful. But, yeah, Mick Foley just keeps packing the weight. And, he probably would not need surgery and all this other stuff if he would just get the weight off of him. It's really not doing him any good. I don't know what the hell is going on, but I really hope he can maybe work with Slim Fast or what's the thing that Mariah Carey, Janet Jackson are with, co-producer Tammy, Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers. I really hope that maybe he could hook up with them. Maybe they could do some type of a sponsorship deal. I think that would be some really great publicity. And who knows, maybe by shedding all that weight off, maybe Triple H could finally give Mick Foley his proper creds, as it just seems like Triple H never wants to give Mick Foley those props. I don't know what the hell that is. Vince McMahon does, but it seems like every single time Mick Foley's name comes up, Triple H is always dogging this guy. It's really sad when you think about it, but I could kind of see where Triple H is coming from, but still, it's really uncalled for. But Mick Foley, I just want the guy to live a long time, be able to play with his kids, see his kids graduated from college. I want to see the guy live for a long time. I think he's got a great mind. He's a hell of a writer. Definitely has a lot to offer from a writing standpoint. I definitely am looking forward to seeing him break new ground whenever he is successful in writing some shows for Fox or cable network. I know he was supposedly working on a few pilots a little while back. I don't know what became of those, but Mick Foley, hell of a guy right there. And, of course, Jim Ross had recently released his latest blog where he had talked about the recent release of WWE developmental talent, Velez, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, a.k.a. Sophia Cortez, the name that she was going under. Now, for those of you that might have missed it, apparently Homegirl, she was supposed to have a very key role in revamping the women's division, but apparently the word that's going around the wrestling community, wrestling beat, is that she had a little bit of a funky attitude, bit of a disrespectful attitude, and she kind of came off a little bit cocky, kind of like she wanted the whole world to be coming to her right then and there, and that just rubbed some people off the wrong way, and it eventually got to upper management, and she got released. Well, Jim Ross had something to say with regards to that. He said, hey, only advice I'd like to offer her as well as AW is to move forward and depend on their skills and passion to find happiness and success. Life deals us all challenging hands. Very classy words right there. I definitely cannot stress that enough. You know, you take what happens, and I've had to learn it the hard way over the years. Whenever you get dealt a bad hand, first thing you do, you get very upset. And I can actually relate a story to you guys. It actually just happened over the weekend. I had got really freaking upset because I had got this certified letter in the mail, and it was from a previous employer that I used to work with like a couple of years back. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they sending me a certified little letter? You know, I didn't actually get it. I got like a little pink slip saying, sorry we missed you. We had certified mail for you. So I'm like, what is it? What could it possibly be? So I started really thinking about it, and I say to myself, well, it's got to be a check. I must have not picked up a check. So I end up going to the post office. I get the check. It was a check. And I'm like, wow, how about that? A couple of years go by, and apparently they still owe me money. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why didn't they just put this in my direct deposit? They still had access to my account back then. Why didn't they just go ahead and put it in my account? Weird. So I go to my bank, and I try to deposit it. They say, oh, we can't accept this check. I'm like, what's the problem? They say, well, the check, it's 180 days old, and we can't do anything with this. I said, that's weird. So I got on the phone. I called the previous employer. Hey, how you been? Oh, I've been pretty good. Y'all sent me a check or something? Well, you know, oh, you should have no problem. So I go back to my bank. They're like, nah, you know, we can't take it. You know, even if your employer said they could, we can't take it. You're unfortunately going to have to sit up, and you're going to have to ask them to cut you a new check, or maybe you're going to have to go to their bank and see if they can make an exception. But we, unfortunately, can't take the check as much as we would like to take it. I'm like, okay, interesting. And I was pretty pissed off because where these guys are, they are just so freaking far out. I, unfortunately, don't have the time and luxury to go out there and get that money. And the money was like a little bit over $100. So all throughout the weekend, my girlfriend would say, you better go get that money. What's wrong with you? Don't you know that's money for the radio show? That's money for the website. You know, that's money for supplies. Go get the money. And I'm sitting up and I'm saying to myself, but I got to go through this hassle of getting the money, and it's 180 days owed. Obviously, they were trying to dick me there because look at the post date. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with it. And I was just really frustrated. She was frustrated. Does the story end on a happy note? No, because I never did go get that damn money. and she's still frustrated over it. But the point that I'm making is, we get hit with roadblocks, we get hit with obstacles, we get hit with a hand sometimes that we don't like, and we're a little bit disgruntled as a result of it. Unfortunately, it's just one of those deals where you kind of got to learn to make with the best of what you got and move on. So, in my case, even though I'm not going to pick up that lousy $100+, am I a little, yeah, I am, but, I'm saying, hey, it is what it is. I know some of you guys are probably like, Lee, you better go get that goddamn money. Convince me I might go get it. Probably make my girlfriend happy. I don't know. All right, so this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to go on ahead and we're going to take a brief commercial break. Then when we come right back, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to open up the phone lines, take you all's calls. I'm done talking. I want to hear from you guys. I want to kick back and hear what you guys have to say about what all has been transpiring since last we were on the air talking with you guys. Get you all's reactions on how you like WWE Raw from this past Monday night. So we're going to take one last commercial break, then we'll go on ahead and we'll open up those phone lines. Let's go ahead, take that brief commercial break right now. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the Rcwr Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is the app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the Rcwr Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the Rcwr Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the Rcwr Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
All right, and we're back. We're back. All right, so let's open up the phone lines right now. We got about less than 15 minutes left to take your calls. Let's do it. Kick back, smile, and dial. You can call us at 646-478-2657. 3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. I'm not looking at the switchboard. The lovely co-producer Tammy is. All I know is the area codes tonight. So let's do it. Caller from the 843 area code. You're live on the air.
What's up, my man? What's up, my man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
What's your name and where you calling from?
Patrick. I'm calling from South Carolina.
All right. You said Patrick?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sometimes my hearing's a little bad there. All right, bro. So, yeah, how'd you like Raw this past Monday night?
The 3-hour push, man, ever since the 1,000th episode, I knew it was going to come down to an end. This is just that I know you have other callers, so I'm going to try to get out of the way quick. But like I'm going to say is that the 3-hour promo, it's not working. I'm thinking they're going to eventually go back to 2 hours. The way that the talent is on there now, they need to at least try to push up more superstars into the spotlight. I like CM Punk. I like Daniel Bryan. I like John Cena. Not too much big on the whole Big Show, no more like that. I still got love for my man. But let's try to get some more of these other superstars to push into the, limelight. Let's push them, Daniel Bryan, like, he's got to be, like, at least a top 15 heel. And I say top 15 because, there's obviously more wrestlers that's in the past that obviously that fits in the top 10. So I got to say at least top 15. And then CM Punk, I kind of hate that the way the heel thing is going right now because, from episode to episode, it just seemed like he just acting like a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like the old CM Punk way more better than this new CM Punk, but obviously they got to do something, to push and all that, crazy stuff. But as far as I can say is that the Raw 3 hours, it sucks. Obviously you have to use this whole, gimmick of the whole John Cena, CM Punk, Big Show type controversy, and then you throw Daniel Bryan into the situation. It's like you can read everything what that is going to happen next minute to minute. Even that last ending of Raw was just like, it's like readable. Like, you could have obviously known that he was going to break Shawn Michaels' arm. It's just that they gotta push more people out there to get the show more interesting. That's all I got to say.
I definitely want to pick your brain on that whole Shawn Michaels, Brock Lesnar execution that they did. Do you feel that, because as I said earlier, for some weird reason, I just feel that the night that it should have happened was on Appreciation Night. They didn't need to do a contract signing. Do you kind of feel, based off what you have seen within recent weeks, leading up to that inevitable Shawn Michaels getting broke by Brock Lesnar, do you kind of feel WWE missed the opportunity to really make a true golden moment happen to make you, that wrestling fan or that occasional wrestling fan, say, oh, I got to order SummerSlam? Because the way you sound right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like they didn't really do a good enough job to convince you to order SummerSlam this weekend.
To be honest, though, I'll be working mostly on Sunday, and to be honest, I don't have satellite at my house, which is my mother's house. I have satellite at my grandmother's house, so obviously I don't actually really take the time to actually pay for a pay-per-view. I'd rather watch it on YouTube the next day. But anyways, to put it like this, it wouldn't convince me to buy it. It's just that the only match I know that a whole bunch of people is really aiming to watch is the whole Triple H and Brock Lesnar match, because basically the way they've been promoting for the last couple of weeks, that's just basically been their main event. And it's crazy that that's basically their main event, but one of the other storylines is the, championship belt. So, wrestling is not like it used to be, but of course I'm still a big wrestling fan, and I'm still going to continue to watch, because I love some of the characters and I love some of the heels that's on there. And I'm not even a big fan of heels, but obviously you guys superstar. It's like it's not like the old, back in the day type wrestling type deal. It's like, of course, it's going to change. You have to move on with change. But yeah, I mean, that will be the only reason why I'll be convinced to buy is the whole Triple H Brock Lesnar match, and that's because the whole ending, I'm quite sure everybody got kind of like, ooh, and say, oh, I got to buy SummerSlam now. But for me, no.
Okay.
I mean, I just be trying to look for that on YouTube. At their end, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate you calling into the show. We got to go ahead and we got to go to our next caller. But you know what? Great words that you said right there. We definitely appreciate you calling in. Feel free to call in any other time. Definitely appreciate it, especially first-time callers. We love you guys. Anytime you guys want to call in, feel free. 646-478-3525. We only got about 7 minutes left. I think that's enough time. Dave, you live, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, bro.
Hey, I agree with you on that whole tout thing. I mean, to be appalled that Del Rio lost his title match was ridiculous.
And you know, Dave, it's really weird when you think about it because I can appreciate them trying to build hype for SmackDown, like what's going to happen with Del Rio. But as we all know, the dirt sheets are already out. The spoilers for tonight's SmackDown, SmackDown Tuesday tapings, it's already out, so we already know what's going to happen. I think the smart move that WWE should have did right there was on Raw, they should have sat up and been like, okay, so look, as you all may know or not know, Booker T stripped Del Rio of his championship. And, they could have announced right then and there, hey, Twitter universe, what do you want to see happen? Do you want to see a battle royal to decide who the new champion is going to be, or do you want to see one of these three guys be named a new number one contender, or do you want to see Del Rio get his match vote now or show the results on SmackDown? They could have, because now they just create all this unnecessary, okay, so what's going to happen with that belt?
Yeah, I mean, I don't read spoilers. I was going to wait till Friday, but I hate the spoilers when they ruined it for Booker T as GM a couple weeks ago, but yeah, well, I want to talk about Raw real quick before you see what you meant. I enjoyed it, but then again, I didn't enjoy it because when they ended that segment with Triple H and Brock at like 15 minutes left, it came back and I was like, it seemed like I was watching TNA Reaction. I was like, why are they? At first, I thought they should have ended it with Shawn Michaels getting hit by a car, so I assumed it was going to be at first. Oh, Shawn get hit by a car.
Right.
And then cutting to black. I mean, that was like, I've been like, okay, I want to see him get beat down really bad by Brock Lesnar. That's what I've been waiting to see. And then we got kind of gypped on that a little bit. And if anyone thinks Shawn Michaels' arm is really broke, then let me tell you something. I'm facing Sheamus at SummerSlam.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again, Dave?
If Shawn Michaels' arm is really broke, then I'm the one who's facing Sheamus at SummerSlam.
I know, right? And you know what? What was that Triple H had said in a WWE.com interview that Shawn Michaels is in the hospital. His arm is, in fact, broke. He's definitely not going to be at SummerSlam, so they say. I mean, we all know this is a work, and honestly, that's how it should have happened with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels really didn't even need to be involved in this.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand that either. And he did a horrible job of even making it seem like it broke. His arm was broke. Brock, if you ask me, did. Triple H did a better job breaking JR's arm, supposedly, back in the day.
So I take it all this hype, the 40-plus minutes, the payoff, it wasn't what you pictured, wasn't what you hoped for.
Well, no, that wasn't, but I was going to order SummerSlam at No Way Out. Because I knew Triple H was calling out Brock Lesnar, and I was like, I want to see Brock Lesnar versus Triple H. I mean, I would love to see him put Daniel Bryan in that one match, but don't think that'll happen. But did you ever watch WCW back in the day?
Yeah, I used to be a big fan of WCW, yeah.
Yeah, okay, me too. Every time I hear Michael Cole say, welcome to the third hour of Raw, I think of Tony Schiavone, and I keep hearing Nitro. I hear Nitro. I was like, am I the only one who hears that? It's like, I think Nitro.
I remember him kind of saying that, yeah. Oh, crazy. What? Pick up on the last caller. Do you feel he brought up some very valid points? Are you, based off what you had saw within recent weeks, you compare all the Raws, including this past Monday night, you hear about what had happened with the latest ratings there. You know, are you a little bit concerned for WWE being able to keep that consistency going? How do you feel about the possible lack of new talent that hasn't really been properly used on Raw? Do you think that that's a little bit too harsh to go? Do you think WWE is using the right amount of new talent?
No. I mean, they're not really using hardly any of the talent they got there. I mean, we've seen, like, I think it was the Usos at the very last segment when Shawn was supposed to be beat down or he got by Brock. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, we could have, instead of that crap we got at the beginning of the show with that boring match between Punk and Big Show, make you fall asleep, you could have had a tag match or something that you thrown in there. I mean, and the whole Divas thing, I mean, if they want to have more Divas matches, longer Divas matches, they got to do better than that. I mean, they got so much talent. Like, we've seen on SmackDown this past week where you've seen Hawkins and Rex, where they had a little segment for a minute. We could have seen those guys on Raw. They're hope revamp this tag division.
Yeah.
They can start off Raw with those guys. I mean, they have so much talent there that they just don't use them except for their internet shows, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
I mean, I hope they change it. I think 3 hours can work for them if they use their talent and they use the time they have. I mean, they could rebuild the Divas division, rebuild their tag division if they spent time on it. But I just don't know if they're going to, if they're just going to stick with, like, you guys are the only ones who get to be on TV.
Right.
I mean, Zack Ryder would have fit perfectly, I think, against Sandow instead of having Christian, a former, two-time world champion, jobbing to everybody now.
Yeah, definitely an interesting topic right there. I think we need to touch up on that for the next Tuesday night edition of the Rcwr Show. In the meantime, TNA wrestling fans, you know what time it is. Join us this Thursday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific for a new episode of Impact Showdown Radio. We'll be covering the latest on TNA Impact Wrestling, get you guys caught up. Also on the fallout from the Hardcore Justice pay-per-view. That's going to do it. I think those of you that participated in the chat room, I think those of you that called into the show, great conversations tonight. Let's do this again this Thursday night for Impact Showdown Radio. For everybody here at the Rcwr Show, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Y'all be safe. Be kind to one another, folks. See you next time.